Well, welcome back to what used to be called A Minute with Stoney Stone, but now what is it?
Going to be Fishing with Stoney Stone.
Fishing with Stoney Stone Podcast. We are rebranding, doing a little something different going forward. Appreciate all you guys' support. We got a great lineup tonight. We got Dieter Melhorn, well-known catfish guy out of North Carolina, as well as James Stone, NorCal Guides Association, supposed to be calling in tonight. Talk a little bit about a fundraiser they have on out in Ubis, or Marysville, I believe it's going to be.
Yep.
And if time permits, we're going to get into fishing on the Feather River this weekend. How did we do? We got some footage from Rob Stoddard that we posted up today.
Yep.
Star Guide Service. And so without further ado, I want to jump in right with James Stone real quick, because I have a feeling we're going to get him in here and talk about what he needs to do, and then we're going to switch gears to Dieter, and let's talk catfishing.
Let's do it.
James, you on? Oh, look at James is there, all tropical, and he's in the weeds like normal.
Yeah.
Yo, what's going on, guys?
What's up, my brother from another mother, James Stone. What's that?
We're doing James first?
We're doing James first, real quick.
Beautiful. Okay.
James, what can you tell? You got something coming up, some big event that I wanted you to talk about. You want to tell us a little bit about that real quick?
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity, guys. NorCal Guides and Sportsmen's Association is going to be hosting its 9th annual dinner in Marysville, California at the 530 Event Center, which is going to be a big bash, as it always is. We're going to have over 400 raffle prizes. There's going to be 100 guns. There's going to be 75 guided trips from a lot of great top guides out there. And it's going to be a wonderful event for you and your kids to attend and help the fundraiser and help the organization with their annual fundraising efforts. We're going to have a full barbecue, open bar for people that want to partake in that mess, for a wristband, $25, and you can buy sponsor tables, tickets. We're about 150 tickets sold so far, so a lot of people talking about getting their tables. It's always a sellout event, and we do a lot for the kids at that event, and we do a lot. We give away lifetime licenses to the children every year, and a lot of fun things that anybody that's ever been knows it's a great time. So we encourage everyone to go, and they can go check out that flyer on the Facebook page, NorCal Guides and Sportsmen's Association, or they can go to the website, ncgasa.org. And what else could I tell you about the event?
Well, those links will be posted right here on the podcast, so you just click on them. I'll probably put a QR code in there. That way you can just scan it with your phone or whatever you're doing. If you're watching this on a big screen at home, just scan the QR code. It'll take you right to the website. So watch for that being on the overlay here. James, I know we were fishing with Rob Stoddard this weekend with Stoddard's Guide Service, and he's talking about buying a table. He's trying to round up a few folks, and I dropped it on my wife today. Said, guess what we're doing? We're going to the NorCal Guides Association dinner.
Well, thank you, guys. We appreciate all of you, and thank you to Robert and all of his support over the years. And it takes everybody to get done what we're trying to get done and really change the system and get it built back to where it needs to be. And it's going to take a lot of advocacy, and it's going to take a lot of fight. And unfortunately, we're losing license sales, and we're at the lowest amount of license sales in the history of the state of California. We are literally at the lowest. There was only 998,000 licenses sold last year for annual licenses. It was under 1 million. And that's only happened one other time, and that was a couple of years back. They thought the uptick from COVID was going to help, but it isn't. The state of the fisheries is in trouble, and there's a lot of things that we are doing to advocate for the better good of all of us, to make sure that our kids and grandkids have it better off than we all did. So
absolutely, and we appreciate everything you guys do, and we're big supporters of everything you do by going to the dinners and fishing the striper tournament you guys put on. We go to that every last 2-3 years we've been doing that, and I will continue to do it. So appreciate everything you do, James. I know it takes a lot of money and a lot of support. So through our fishing communities, thank you guys all for everything you do.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you,
So,
guys.
hey, one question I do have is this event, do they have big screen TVs? Like where you're showing videos and photos?
Oh, yeah. So, like all of our donors, all of our large donors and our live auction items and our guided trip sponsors, they roll on the big projector screen up front. And then we do our live YouTube videos. Like for those that don't follow our YouTube channel, go check it out. And we've got a lot of those videos playing, like our documentaries, Long Live the King and Unspawned. And those are playing on loops also in the bar and in other areas on big screen TVs. So it's pretty cool.
So I do have a proposition for you. I'm going to throw them on the spot.
There you go.
As you may or may not know, I'm working on a movie called Catfish Wars, and it's based on a tournament series out in Clear Lake that we put on. There's 6 series a year, the only Northern California catfish series out here, and we're actually doing a documentary, film called Catfish Wars, and it's basically about that tournament. If I gave you a little pilot clip that's about, no longer than a couple minutes long, it's, promotes Catfish Wars, the movie coming out, is that something you could support?
Yeah, we always support fishing. Any chance we can get to support fishing, we'll always support it. So access to fisheries and trying to keep things open or what we're trying to do. But fortunately, there's some good science that's out there on some certain stocks that have got us in trouble. And I think you all know that. The Sacramento River salmon is in trouble a little bit. And we're hoping that it's going to rebound. The feather and the American are rebounding a lot quicker because of the trucking. And but yeah, we can definitely always support anything that's supporting fishing and getting our kids into the youth. So Catfish Wars, we can talk about that.
Yeah, I'll talk offline with you more, but it just kind of popped in my head today when I was like, you know what? We're going to do this thing. I know James. Let me see if he could throw a couple minute little promo video for us out there, but we'll talk more about that.
Yeah, we're always down to help everybody with fishing, especially if it's benefiting the kids too and anything else like that. So
I got a quick question for you, James.
Sure.
I live less than a mile from the American River. I've been trying to find on California's great internet site for the Fish and Game their regulations for the American River for the salmon. Is there anywhere you can point me to that would make this easier for me?
Yeah, let's see if I can do this. You got me. Actually, I'm not on my phone, which is a shock for a change because I'm normally all over the place. So I'm actually in front of my computer. So that was, I guess, a really good segue. So as I'm talking to you, I'm scrolling the Fish and Game website's page for you right now. And I will grab that link right now, which is right here. And then I'm going to now copy it and I will upload it into the chat for you. Am I allowed to use the chat feature on this link?
Yes, you should be able to.
There it is.
There you go, right there.
Perfect. Make sure we grab that, Eric.
There's the link. This is my life now. I don't get to take people fishing every day. I just get to work for all of you.
Like I said, I live less than a mile away from the river now, and it's like I know it's supposed to open up for fishing, so it's like, well, I got to figure out where I can fish.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've been trying. It's California's Fish and Game regulations are so hard to navigate sometimes. It just makes it really hard to.
I totally understand that.
Yeah.
I totally understand that. We actually supported an effort 4 years ago with the Fish and Game Commission to simplify the regulations just for that reason. It was called regulation simplification. And we were big supporters of that because there were so many different waters that if you went and fished this river, you was catch and release trout, barbless only. And then if you just climbed over 2 mountains, it was five trout per day, 10 in possession. And then if you climbed over 2 mountains, it was 2 trout in possession. it was just way too confusing for people, right?
Welcome
and so
to California.
So we were big supporters of trying to simplify that regulation code in the Fish and Game Commission. And if you don't mind, just for your listeners to say, a lot of people don't understand how law really works, but you have CDFW, California Fish and Wildlife, used to be California Fish and Game. They're the ones, the department that does the biology, the science, and then the wardens and the regulation of those. The California Fish and Game Commission are 5 people that are appointed by the governor of the state of California, and they are appointed into that position. And those 5 commissioners are the ones that are in charge of resetting your regulations and redoing rules and laws of policy through the commission. So the commissioners are there as the last line of support for public comment. So the next big one is striped bass on October 8th. So everyone mark your calendars and be ready to be in Sacramento. It's going to be a big event. We're going to rally down there on October 8th for striped bass. It's a last-ditch effort before we try to get the final regulation change that we've been working on for 6-7 years.
Well, perfect.
Okay.
We'll definitely promote that through here. And as that gets closer, James, you're more than welcome to get back on, talk about that, and we'll try to promote that out through our podcast as much as we can. So we do have to move on to our special guest. One question.
From Robert. Update on the banding issue.
The what?
Banding.
I had to read that twice, but I know what he's talking about now. The first time I thought he was talking, I'm like, banding, we were banding ducks. We weren't banding no ducks. He's talking about golden mussels. He's talking about the banding of boats. So, yes. So our lobbyist, Mark Smith, is engaged with National Marines Manufacturer Association, as well as a few other boating associations. And we are working very diligently, as hard as we can, to try to figure out what the state will and won't accept. That's the short answer without taking time from your podcast. But we are engaged in all these topics. And the idea is there will be a universal ban that will be accepted by multiple areas of water rather than just individual waters. So we're working on that. It's a fluid situation, and we'll hope to bring more to you here. But it won't be this summer, unfortunately, or this fall.
Well, like I like to tell people, you heard it here first.
Yep. And I don't only fish in the summertime, so.
Yeah. Well, perfect. James, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. You're more than welcome to stay on and listen to some catfish talk or drop, whatever you feel. But we're going to bring on Dieter Melhorn all the way from North Carolina. He is on a late night. It's like, 3 hours ahead out there?
Yep. Yeah. I think I'm on hour number 17 or something today. Ooh. So, yeah.
You're a monster, you're a beast. I appreciate you taking the time out and coming on, the podcast that I said we're rebranding. Used to be Old Farts for a Minute with Stoney Stone, and now we're just fishing with Stoney Stone, and we're reaching out to lots of different people, including yourself. And
awesome.
We're just doing fishing with Stoney Stone. I'm going to go to Hawaii next month, and we're going to grab some footage out there and meet some great people out in Hawaii, and it's just going to be a lot.
Yeah, I'm going to hook them up with my brother out there in Hawaii. My brother and my sister-in-law, they live out there, and they're big-time fishermen, so we're going to hook them up and see if we can get them on some fish out there.
Sweet.
That's a lot closer plane ride for you than it is for me to go to Hawaii. Yes,
it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
But we are going to talk about me coming out to North Carolina and doing some fishing out there sometime soon for sure. And
all right, so here's the deal. Here's the deal. If you do that, okay, here's what I'm going to do right now. Okay, see this hat?
Yes.
I'm taking that one off, and I'm putting on a flat billed hat so I can kind of look all Cali style, okay? You're going to have to show up with a curved bill hat when you come out here, or people are going to point at you. So I got my flat one on here for you.
So I'm going to send you an Old Farts fishing hat that's a curved bend.
Okay.
Similar to this one, but this is a flat bill. But I'll get you an Old Farts fishing hat. I'll send that out to you.
Okay.
Get that information and exciting stuff. So tell us about you. People that don't know you, I follow you on all your social media stuff. Watched a lot of your videos.
Yep.
But there's more to you. There's more to you than that. And I want you to kind of tell people who you are.
Yep. As I told the girl who cut my hair the other day, she asked what I did. And I said, if you ever hear this line from a guy in a bar, walk away from him because he's probably unemployed. I obviously have a YouTube channel. That's part of what I do. It's part of my business income stream. Also a fishing guy. I'm a licensed Coast Guard captain out here, so I've got that going. Still do television production work. As a matter of fact, we're doing something for NASCAR tomorrow in the next 2 days. And so, yeah, I'm kind of diversified all over the place, but from the fishing outdoor side of it, that's really started to take off and grow since the YouTube channel, but really now I'm trying to put more effort and more focus into that world, and I meet up with it. It's an obsession. I hate when they use the word addiction, but it can be. I've actually talked to some psychiatrists and therapists that I've had on the boat as guide trip clients, and it can take on some of the same traits as a true chemical addiction can. And
well, that explains a lot.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. There is the whole dopamine connection, and not to the same chemical badness, but fishing and the dopamine highs and everything else, there's some similar parallels. So yeah, that's kind of
just
me.
It's like anything, right? You got to keep it in check, right? Whatever your vice is in life, right?
Yeah.
I'm not condoning what people do, but fishing can be just as addictive and destructive as any other vice that you have. It's just you got to keep that in check and
you got to
have a balance.
You got to find the one that's going to be right for you too. I mean, I'm on the third one now because of the addiction.
It's true, but you got it right. It is an addiction. You do it as a passion. It's a love. You do it because you enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was listening to the Huberman podcast. He's a California guy. He's out there at Stanford. And he was talking about addiction and the way it's defined, and it's this, decline. I forget what his technical definition is, but I was like, okay, yeah, that applies to drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, but I could see that applying to someone who's, starts to let other things go in their life, and, whether it be family, job, whatever. And, we joke about it being addiction, but it's technically, it can get to that point if you're not careful. So I try to keep it in check. I'm lucky because I've got the avenues of YouTube that, can, is kind of an outlet. And then the guide trip stuff's a great excuse to, I'm going to work, really fishing. So that's kind of that was the running joke when I started guiding here at the house with the wife. It's like, I got to work tomorrow. She says, are you working or working fishing? And now it's all kind of the same thing. It's a work, but it's a passion. It's a passion project more than that job you hate to go to.
Yeah, well, it's funny is I have what I told my wife today at dinner. I said I have a meeting on Thursday with a real estate client, which is true. I do have a real estate client that I have a meeting with. Well, it just so happens he is an avid fisherman, and the meeting has to be on the boat while we're fishing for salmon in the Feather River. So Thursday, I'm taking out a client for a business meeting, and it just so happens he enjoys fishing. I enjoy fishing, and we're going to talk some business and do some fishing.
How convenient! No, it's a great way if you can get somebody on a boat to. They always say a lot of business is done on a golf course. Well, I think a boat's a better place because they can't get away. A golf course, if they've got their own cart, they can take off. In a boat, you're stuck together, and you get a good feel for a person. And, in business, it's all about relationships, and you get a good feel for a person in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours on the boat with them fishing. And it's a good way to hold somebody hostage for a while and give them your, sales pitch.
No, I totally agree. And, one people that know about me is I'm huge about local small business. Is we have a lot of guys that come through, a lot of different fishing guides we have on, bait shops, tackle shops. If you have a carpet cleaning business, a window cleaning bit, whatever it is, and you're a fisherman, I'll give you all the time you need to promote your business. And, it's expensive to go fishing. And those, in order to go fishing, you have to make money. Well, a lot of these guys are self-employed, and if I can give back in any way to help promote their business, that's what we're going to do.
Are there a lot of freshwater fishing guides in California, in the area that you're in?
Yes, there's a ton. There's a ton, and there's a lot of guides that specialize on certain lakes or on the river. There's a lot of ocean guides and guides that fish the rivers and the lakes for sure.
Yeah, it's really it's funny whenever I've been out there, because we fly out to the San Francisco area for either NASCAR related stuff or some of the college football stuff we were doing last year. And as I'm flying over, I'm always looking out the window of the plane going, where would I fish at? And I see more rivers than I do anything out there. And that seems like a lot of what y'all have got out there to fish.
Yeah, a lot of that you see if you're going to San Francisco is going to be like the Delta potentially. Is a lot of the rivers that, feed the bay. But that's all the Delta marshland area. And there's a ton of great fishing, catfishing there, bass fishing, striper fishing, sturgeon fishing, salmon's closed. There's so many regulations out here on what's open, what's closed, what you can fish for, what you can't. It's hard to keep track of it all the time.
So clear this up for me. I did a podcast video something last year before last, and was talking about channel catfish. The world record channel catfish is from South Carolina, 58 pounds.
Very nice.
California has one that is close.
Yes.
And I've said for a while that I think California could be the sleeper state to break that record maybe at some, because it's just hard. You just don't see anything over 50 pounds anymore. Right. How many of those fish out there, and how diligent are they on verifying that it's a channel catfish versus a blue catfish? Because I had a bunch of people chime in and say, oh, where that was caught at was in a blue cat, or was in a river that had blue cats in it.
Right.
What's your thoughts on that out there?
Well, I know there's not very, I don't think there's any rivers here in California that have blue
The
cats.
only place I know or I've heard is that there's a place in Southern California that has a lake, and I don't know the name of it, that has blues, but that's the only lake in California that I've heard.
That's the one I think they were talking about. It was somewhere down south that they were.
Right. So there's one lake that has blues. Everywhere else has, channel cats, white cats, bullheads, and then there's a lot of hybrids. I think like a Clear Lake is one of the waters we fish a lot at, or Berryessa has some nice catfish. Is there some hybrids, I think, where they're mixed of something, but the lake record at Clear Lake right now, I think it's 34 pounds caught by 37 pounds. 37-pound catfish at a Clear Lake is the new lake record by Herb. There's a Whisker Gitters, a guide service out there in Clear Lake, but he's got the lake record right now, and we catch 25, 30 pounders, not too, a lot of times.
Yeah, and for some reason he just won't tell us where he caught that 37-pounder.
Now, how big is Clear Lake? Because I hear Clear Lake that for the big bass that they got out there.
Huge bass.
There was going to be a world record that was in there. What is it about? How big is it, and what makes it so special for all kinds of fish?
So Clear Lake is a native lake. It's not a reservoir. One of the biggest things, I think. It's not a real deep lake. It's only got some spots in there that get down to 60, 70 feet deep. Okay. But it's kind of in the coastal mountains.
Coastal mountains, near Sonoma, kind of over the hills from there. Okay. But I think, Darren was saying is it's a natural lake. It's not man-made. It's a lot of volcanic activity. There's a lot of pockets where you'll see bubbles coming up from the hot springs underneath. Yeah. So it's just a great ecosystem of crappie and carp and bass and bluegill and, and 2 or 3 different versions of catfish out there. And there's just, everything is big. I don't know what it is with that, great green. It's not very clear, but very green water at times. Yeah. There's big fish.
And it's supposed to be, I think, the second oldest natural lake in the United States.
Yeah, in the United States.
So it's an old lake. There's a lot of history to it. It's a pretty neat history. It's a great place to fish. It can get scary, though. I mean, the wind comes up and you get 3 or 4 foot waves out there on that lake, and it gets a little scary sometimes.
So it's a pretty big body of water.
It's a pretty big. I don't know off the top of my head. It is a pretty big.
It's just under the size of Lake Tahoe, and I don't know if you know how big Tahoe is.
Yeah,
but it's a little bit smaller than Tahoe, but it's a big lake, and it's a little shallower, so the waves
a lot shallow.
The waves get a little bit bigger out there. So
very cool.
Yeah, it's a great place. Which kind of leads me to a question for you: what is main fishing? Is that, do you do more river fishing or do you do more lake fishing?
It's reservoir fishing. We have basically the Catawba chain, and pretty much there's a matter of fact, I came out of a presentation tonight at the Marine Commission that was by the power company, and they basically showed a map, a little stair step thing of all the dams that are on this river system. And it literally goes all the way down to within, I don't know, 75 miles of the coast, including the Santee Cooper Lakes. This river system ends up dumping into the Santee Cooper Lakes, which is where the world record channel cat came from.
Right.
And, that's pretty much what I fish. We got, river sections between the lakes, but they're short enough that stripers cannot actually reproduce in them. They'll go through a spawning process, but there's not enough room for the tumbling and the actual fertilization and hatching of the eggs. So that kind of gives you an idea. And then it's all driven by dam releases versus a constant flowing river. So it's sort of river, but not really any big flowing rivers or anything like that.
So not a lot of current then when you're fishing?
No, I mean, even on a good water release, you may get 1.5 miles an hour out of it, maybe 1.7, 1.8. But yeah, none of the super fast stuff, like once you get down toward the coast where they're dumping into the bays down there and you're getting, what we think is fast, 3 mile an hour current, 3.5, but from what I was seeing out on the Mississippi River a couple of weeks ago during that Megabucks tournament, that water was stroking out there. So we don't get none of that.
So do you switch up your techniques when you get into the river sections, or do you kind of use the same technique?
I'm usually it's a weird dynamic with the way it works here, where in a big river, the water's flowing all the time. The fish are kind of into, let's find a place to duck out of the current. And a lot of those guys are doing like a bottom bouncing technique to where they're kind of slowly floating down the river, bouncing baits down through there, trying to get into places where the fish are.
Okay.
Whereas here, when the water is released and turned on, usually it sparks a bite and you have a window to where it can be pretty good. And a lot of times we're anchoring up in places where that feeding happens, whether it be some of the little feeder creeks that come in, rock piles, gas lines, all kinds of different stuff like that. And then you go through this little phase of, it's really good when it first comes on. You got a feed window of an hour, 90 minutes. And then they go off to their hiding places. They're like, okay, we're tired of this. And then they're going to start pulling to the edges, pulling into stuff, ducking into places. So it's kind of a little different tactic when it comes to fishing, the rivers here. It's a lot more anchoring. Okay. Part of it is out of necessity. Part of it is that we suck at like learning how to bottom bounce baits, because you go up there and you decide you want to go practice this one day, and they're not pulling water, and you're looking at slack water, and then you're getting out the trolling gear, and then you're starting to troll, and then they turn the water on for a little bit, and you're getting it figured out, and it's on for 90 minutes, and then they shut it off again. So it's we just don't get really good at it. And the converse is, you see the guys from out in the Mississippi, when they come out and fish a tournament on a lake, they usually get their butts kicked because they don't know what to do because they're used to moving water, and dragging baits around or just anchoring up is like a different ball game for them. So that's one thing, that there's a lot of ways to catch catfish, and it varies greatly in where you're fishing. And then all lakes are not created equal. That's something I've said in a bunch of videos recently, is that just because you're, a natural lake like Clear Lake, I'm sure is a totally different way of fishing than a reservoir that will have current coming through it on and off at some point. And depending on the size of the reservoir, you can have a lot of current moving through a lake. Some of the bigger ones, like the one I'm on a lot, if you see current in the middle of the lake, they're pulling water, they're pushing it in and pulling it out. You got a lot of water movement. So, and then the depth comes into play. That's a whole nother animal on what works and how it works.
Yeah, we've got some reservoirs just minutes from our house here, and we've heard stories about big catfish there. Have we been able to catch any of those big catfish? No, we're catching the little 1 pounder, maybe 2 pounders.
Yeah,
we just haven't spent enough time to figure it out. And then, of course, California's got the golden mussel issue going on. I don't know if you've heard about that.
No, tell me about the golden mussel. This sounds like a good piece of bait to me.
I wish it was. I really wish it was. We'll let Stoney go with that one.
I'll just keep it short. The environmentalists out here are concerned about the golden mussel, came out of China, that comes in through the bay and all the cargo ships and guys that go out to the ocean or to the delta or whatever. They have ballast or live wells or these things get into their boats and they go to the lakes and then contaminate the lakes and it affects the ecosystem. And so now there's a big ban on a bunch of lakes now, and a lot of red tape you got to go through with inspections and banding and getting kind of locked in and married to a body of water. And a lot of guys don't want to do that, and or it's timely, or some guy, and it's every agency is different on all these different lakes, and that's what James talked a little bit about, is trying to come up with a central way that all the lakes will do it and have a one band is once you've been inspected, you've been inspected. But like I live 15 minutes from Folsom Lake, big lake, great fishery. I won't go to that lake because I don't want to be married to the lake. I have other bodies of water I want to go to on the river and delta and stuff.
So they don't want you putting your boat in there, possibly getting it contaminated with something, going to another lake, dumping it in there. Oh.
Yep.
All right.
But the birds and stuff will fly and drop stuff, and that's okay. Just don't let the fishermen do it on their boats.
All right, let me just write that down. Reason number 497, not to live in California.
Well, I'll tell you, next time you fly over and you're coming into San Francisco and you see one of those places on the bay or something, you let us know. We'll get you out there doing some leopard shark fishing or something out there in the bay.
That would be cool. The thing about California is, I know it gets a bad rap. It gets a bad rap for the big cities, but there is so much beautiful freaking country in California. You said Sonoma earlier. Been out there many times for the race. Was out there last year.
Yep.
It is absolutely gorgeous out through there. I think what is it north of Point Reyes? I've never seen it where it wasn't cloudy, but I bet it's pretty when the sun actually shines there.
The wintertime is the best time to go to the base, to the coast.
Yeah, there's just a lot of beautiful country out there that most people know is San Francisco, LA, and that's it. So.
And if it weren't for the politics of California, this would be the greatest place on earth.
I've heard that from many people that live in California.
So, yeah. I mean, because I do it all. I fish out in the ocean. I fish in the bays. I fish in the rivers, the delta, the lakes. I try to do as much as I can. Catfish, striper, two of my biggest fun fish to catch. We go to the bay. We'll catch leopard sharks, good-sized leopard sharks, halibut. It's just a great place.
I've heard of the leopard sharks out there, and I'm just redneck enough. That's why I fish for sharks at our coast down here. Obviously, we don't have leopard sharks. That would be another great one because they got a really cool paint job on them to put on the list of species caught. Man, that would be cool. How hard are they to catch?
They're not that hard. There's days you can go out there and you can catch 30 of them in a day. They might not be real big ones, but they've got to be 36 inches to keep here. My biggest one is about a 5.5 footer, which is a really good size one. And it gave a heck of a fight, and it tasted really good too.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Something about putting a 5.5 foot shark in my boat that just says no. I'm not doing it.
Now, are the leopard sharks like a lot of other sharks to where you need to kill them and bleed them and gut them right away so that they stop peeing through the skin?
Away, for sure. Yeah, you definitely want to bleed them right away. I'm not sure about the sharks on the East Coast, but these ones, the leopard sharks, they'll pee through their skin.
Yep.
So you want to get them cleaned up and killed as quick as possible so you can get that off of the meat. But they're great eating. If you soak them with a little bit of buttermilk and then fry them up, real good stuff.
Yeah.
I still got to get Stoney out there to get some slipper sharks on my boat.
Yeah, you do.
It'll be fun.
So one thing that we do a lot at Clear Lake is we're dragging, trolling, however you guys want to call it, but we're dragging baits, and it's kind of like the go-to. People are still doing anchored up. We're doing anchored up, but a lot of people are doing the dragging technique, and it's not a lot of lakes work that way. Berryessa is one that the dragging works, but we've tried that technique in the river and we get snagged up a lot, but we've tried it in other lakes and it just doesn't work. It goes back to different lakes, different things, and
exactly.
It's kind of interesting as we're still learning.
Yep.
So has anybody tried chicken out there? Because you talk about these Chinese mussels. That just sounds like the same formula we got out here for making chicken work.
So I got a story. We had a tournament up here 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we went out and pre-fished on the tournament. And my buddy brought some chicken feet as a joke, and I'm like, "What is this?" He's like, "We got to try this and see if it works." I'm like, "Well, we're just pre-fishing." I threw some on, and we didn't get hit on the chicken feet at all. And as they took them off, we just kind of throw them in the water. I'm like, this is junk. Just throw in the water, right? So we must have thrown 5 or 6 of these things on this little drag that we were doing. The next day in the tournament, we fished that same area, and we got our 3 fish, right away. Within the first couple hours, we had our 3 fish, and we were just trying to, trade up at that point to get bigger. And these fish were like angry. They were like bouncing the live well, top up, and they were just very, very energetic. My buddy opens up the live well, and there's a bunch of crawdads floating in there because they had spit them up. Well, guess what else they spit up?
Chicken feet.
Was that chicken foot? I'm like, I bet you they will eat some chicken foot. So now I got to go try this and see if it actually will work on a hook.
Yeah, that's always been my thesis, is there is a tie between the amino acids in the mussels, aquatic clams, mollusks, whatever you want to call them, and the chicken. And I think that's what, there's something there that makes them eat it. Because I've explained to the biologists, I had some on the boat a couple years ago, and they kind of poo-pooed the idea initially. But, I explained to them, I fished it side by side extensively for hundreds of fish. One side of the boat cut bait, one side chicken. Chicken won about 72% over like 320 fish, I think we kept track of. But, the thing I said was blue catfish are not native to where I fish. They are in the Mississippi drainages. They were stocked into east of the Appalachian Mountains. So they're not native. Okay. We got that determined. And the Asiatic clams, well, the word kind of gives it away. They're from Asia. They're not native. So you have 2 non-native things to where one has figured out this thing on the bottom that looks like a rock, bumps me in the nose like a rock. If I eat it, it's going to be good. And it's going to do me some good. And it's got whatever I need in it. The bottom line is they are sensing something in there that trips their trigger, and they realize, hey, I can eat this and it's good. It's going to give me the nutrients I need. I think the same thing, very basic level with my armchair scientific terms here. It's the same thing with the chicken. They're able to pick up on that and go, there's nutrients in here, whatever it is, it's some basic primal stuff that they're detecting, not just that it smells good. And that's why they eat it. I do think it works better in some places than others, like a lot of baits. but I have heard some stories of some major tournaments that have been won on it, and nobody will ever fess up to it, but there's some major money been won with people that had it on the boat also, and lucked up getting one of their fish that was one that led to making some money. So is it the only bait I use? Absolutely not. I keep things mixed up, but if the bite is horrible, the bite sucks, and all I have is fresh cut bait from that reservoir, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, what if I had some chicken on here? Because there have been days where I'm fishing the bait side by side and you catch 18 or 20 fish and like 2 or 3 of them came on cut bait. And you're thinking, man, if I didn't have that chicken, would they have ate the other bait?
Right.
Or would I have just been stuck with 3 fish? So it does work. It's not a cure-all. There's places for it. So yeah.
So
with California, it works.
So with your chicken, right? So chicken is generic to me. It's like there's chicken, then there's just raw chicken, then there's watermelon chicken, cherry chicken, jello chicken, garlic chicken, every chicken. What is your favorite way? Is it just straight up your stinky chicken? There's the freshest you can get. What do you do with this chicken to make it like the best?
Plain chicken.
Just plain.
I just go with the plain chicken. I've obviously done plenty of videos with strawberry jello and cherry jello and garlic chicken and all that. They'll all catch fish. But when I was doing the side-by-side test, it was kind of about 50-50. I mean, a little bit leaning toward the plain chicken, but it kind of just proved to me that it really didn't make that big of a difference. And, if you remove the jello from the equation, you don't get the sticky crap all over your hands and your rod and your reels and handles. So it's just easier to do. But, people do like a gimmick. People like a miracle. People like something that works, something special, a secret. And it's fun to you doing videos. And, some days you'll do a video and it'll be to the day that stuff just smokes them, and then everybody and their brother's like, "Oh yeah, that's And like I say in all my videos, one trip does not make a test of anything, whether it be a rod, reel, fish bait, technique. You got to use it repeatedly to see really what works consistently."
What is your favorite part of the chicken? The breast, the thigh, the leg, the foot,
It's not the feet. I tried the gizzards one time. It was, it didn't really work right. Honestly, I used the breast, and it's a stupid reason. My wife does not like chicken thighs. I don't know why. I think everything I like in life, she doesn't like. So I would do the thighs, but since she likes chicken breast better and she makes a lot of different stuff with it, I just go with the breast because we can buy a big pack of it. I can pluck me one out because I don't use like big, massive chunks. It's little bitty pieces of it because I think it's closer to the size of the muscles. But I can pull a piece of it out of the pack and use it, and then we have the rest for dinner. So that's kind of my simple reason. I think probably trying to think which one stays on the hook better. There's like a outer, almost not really a skin, but a texture to a certain part of the breast muscle.
There's a membrane on there.
Yeah, it's a little bit tougher, and you don't get as much. It seems like the thighs are a little more stringy, and they start to tear a little bit more. But yeah, I did a video talking about the little pieces a while back with the guy on Santee, and he was all about fishing with chicken, and I got on the boat with him, but he was using like pieces the size of the palm of your hand, and we fished side by side, and I'm using my little pieces, and I still rub this into this day. I caught more fish, and I caught the biggest fish on the trip, and it was with little bitty pieces. But
that's interesting because everybody's always bigger fish with bigger bait, and we've gone to small baits at times, and now that you're hearing it, you're like, well, maybe that was a difference that time. And because I've been using some pretty big baits lately, maybe I need to go back to smaller chunks. And
yeah, I think there's something to when fish are eating big bait. Here's the thing. If you're trying to fish a tournament and you're just wanting to eliminate little fish, use big baits. That's the easiest way to get rid of the little fish. They ain't going to eat a big bait the size of your hand. Now, the question is, if you've got fish that are already full, have already fed, and are just in that opportunistic mode, then you may be turning them off with big baits. And they it's kind of like you've already had, your big 16-ounce ribeye and your baked potato. And are you going to eat another one? No. But if there's a little sliver of cheesecake that gets slid up next to you, you might stick the fork in it and eat some of that. So
maybe that's why I like the sugar. I want a little Jello Kool-Aid or watermelon Kool-Aid chicken right now. Just a little bit, not a whole bunch.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a lot of this stuff we try to put human emotion and thought and everything too, but there seems to be some correlation between it's like, these fish they're browsing more than anything. A lot of times I talk about catching these things in areas where they're feeding on mussels. And are they feeding heavy? Are they just opportunistically feeding? Who knows what's going on. But I think that's when those smaller baits can pay off. And a lot of times, on guide trips, I'll put 2 big baits out on the outside planer boards because that way you ain't got to deal with checking the baits all the time. It's hard to pull off a big bait. And then the other 4 rods we'll fish chicken on. And we catch and we've had many days where we never get a bite on the big baits. But we catch a disproportionate number of fish on those smaller baits. And it's usually, 3 to 1, 4 to 1 is what it works out to be. So,
nice.
Yeah. So, again, who knows what the true answer is to why they do what they do, but you just kind of figure out what works for you and where you're fishing, and that's what I stick with.
So have you ever tried squid for catfish?
No, I've used it plenty of times saltwater fishing, but I've never brought any of them back. I've used menhaden. I'm trying to think of what else from saltwater. Mullet. I brought some mullet back from the coast, and both of those will catch fish. Catfish will eat both of those.
So we use a lot of salmon for catfish, mackerel, shad, herring is another one.
Yep.
And never leave out the good old hot dog. Definitely works. The chicken works, and I do have an old video. It's kind of. I'll just throw it out there. We even caught one on a tampon. They will hit everything and anything.
I think those things have been used in deer hunting, fishing. It's like some guy sitting around drunk one night and says, "I got an idea." So.
Hold my beer.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about our catfish tournament thing we have going on. The Catfish Bash. It's the only series in California that we're aware of. It's run at Clear Lake. We do 6 tournaments a year. It's been going on for quite a few years. Like I told you earlier, it started off with like 5 boats. We've had up to 40 boats at a time. Because now that it's a series and it's consistently about every 2 months. We're hovering about that 25 to 30 boats on a regular, guys that are committing
to it. Good.
Yeah, and the way we work it is your weights are kept track of, and then we add all the weights up throughout the year, and then there's a championship at the end of the year with the heaviest weight. So the first 10 teams with the heaviest weight are qualified for the championship. Then we do a 5-person wild card. Where you just randomly pull, names out of who entered in previous tournaments, and then you got 15 boats for the championship. And that's what we're doing this year, and it's getting more and more popularity, and we got a lot of people coming out. We don't always fish at the prime times, so we just finished a tournament hot August nights, where it started at the middle of the day at noon. Finished at 8, and it was 103 degrees that day. So our theory is you go out to a tournament, you have that prime 6:30 daybreak, go, anybody can catch fish. And we found that guys were always, the leaderboard was always the same. So when you have those tournaments mixed in with this, we're going to go fish the middle of the day when it's the hottest time of the year. Let's see how you do now. And our standings they're all over the place. You got guys that used to always win. Now they're not winning. Yep. It definitely mixed things up. So I think it makes it more competitive, more fun, more of a challenge.
And our next tournament's on a small little lake.
Right.
A little lake.
A tiny lake where the fish are like 6 pounds, 7 pounds.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you guys are doing something that is a lot more fun.
Yes.
Competitive, different. It's almost like you haven't been contaminated by the eastern, the east of the Continental Divide way of doing catfish tournaments.
But everybody here wants to do what they do with they want to do the 3-bag limit. They want to do everything on you always hear about, the monsters on the river, all these things. We got to have a pro tournament. Jake that does a catfish bass says, yeah, that's kind of cool, but you know what? We're going to give you a flavor of that, but we're going to do it a 1-day dash for the cash. As many boats come in, we have big payouts, and you nailed it. It's fun. It's like you get a taste of that big tournament thing without having all of that stuff, and now it's just a fun tournament.
And the director of the tournament keeps the drama to a very minimum.
Oh, yeah. We're not afraid to say, you're not coming back.
Yeah.
That was one of the fun part's important. That was one of the things I dropped a podcast today, and I've got another one tomorrow. And that's what I was talking about is, this one with Twisted Cats and the Wheeler Bama Blues, which is it used to be Winter Blues on Wheeler tournament. It's just a perennial favorite. It's one everybody looks forward to. It's been $250, $300 to enter it. Not cheap, but not super expensive. And, this year they're jacking the price up 300% to $1,000. And
wow.
It's part of this is probably on the, the coattails of the MRM Big Bash tournament, out there where it was, how much was it? 5,000 in or whatever it was. And it starts to, in my mind, you're starting to segregate the haves from the have-nots, and it starts to make some of this stuff unattainable for some people because not everybody has, it's one thing to come up with $100, $200 to fish a tournament. I like the little fruit jar tournaments that are $80, $100. You get 2 people, you can come up with that, but $1,000, that's going to be, a chunk of money. 5,000, 2,500. I mean, that's a lot of money. You start getting a different group of people fishing then. And it's a little more serious when, your man took all his beer money, his house payment, and his power bill to go gamble on winning this tournament. So, it takes some of the fun out of it. And so it's cool to hear that y'all are still doing something that sounds like it's fun to participate in.
Yeah, and we've tried to, the cost, like you said, it's kind of funny. When this thing started, I think it was like $20 to enter, right? And it was 5 boats, and a few guys got together. Now our entry fee is we have like some tiers. You have $150, you can get a team in. Then we have a big fish pot. So if you want to put in $50 to try for the biggest fish, there's a side pot for that. Then we got a blind bogey pot. If you want to put another $50 in, get the blind bogey, randomly draw a weight. And if you hit that weight, we try to make it to where everybody can hopefully win a little bit of money. Kind of backfired on us the last tournament because the guy who won actually got big fish, won the tournament, and won the blind bogey. And we're like, okay, this didn't work out the way we wanted it to, but that's just kind of how it played out. But it was fun, right? You have a chance.
It still worked out as planned, and now there's a record.
There is. But we tell people for as little as $150, you get into some pretty big money. If you want to gamble a little bit extra with some other things, there's there too. So, it's cost is definitely a factor. We got a lot of crap when we rose our prices up to where they are now. But to you're saying about the different clientele, we found that when we kept it really low, we ended up with some clientele we didn't like, and we had to find that balance of keeping it affordable, but also bring in some people that are, different, that are going to add some excitement, that are going to bring money, that are going to, spend Airbnb money, are going to spend, bring stuff to the economy. And so now that we've kind of found this happy medium, we do have people coming from, as far down as south, Southern California, Fresno, 4 or 5 hours to do this tournament because it's fun. We haven't got the out-of-state guys yet. We're hoping, but
that's coming with the Channel Cat Classic.
Oh, so there is another tournament. Richard Moutry is a big sponsor that does a lot of the catfishing things out here. Is a big, throws some money into all these things. He's starting the Channel Cat Classic, which will be next year. $8,000 first prize guaranteed. If there's 5 boats, they're still paying $8,000. If there's 50 boats. So they've got some money that's going to put up the prize money, and then the bigger the tournament gets, all of those other spots, 1 through 10, are going to pay out. So they're talking $20,000 in money to be paid out to the tournament. So we're hoping that's going to get some attention, and they joined the ACA to help promote the tournament and get involved in that. And hopefully we're going to bring some out-of-state people into seeing that California does have some big fish, and we like to have some fun, and we'll see.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's there's room for a lot of stuff. I don't put down or I'm not against the big money tournaments. It's just because I think there's enough of the smaller tournaments still out there for somebody that is wanting to get into fishing. If somebody wants to go gamble that kind of money, I personally am not going to spend $5,000 in their tournament. Now, if a sponsor wants to step up and pay for it, I'll go fish it for them. Yeah, I'll create you so much content, it would be unreal. But yeah, I'm not going to.
Any sponsor something that want to sponsor any of our teams, Old Forest Fishing, Sift, or even Dieter's teams. We will do all the tournaments, high money, sponsorships.
So we're getting to
that's an easy sell.
Oh yeah. I do want to open it up a little bit to people online. If anybody has questions, I'm sure they've been typing in questions. But if anybody wants to speak up and ask a question directly, just unmute and we'll get you going. And we'll give that a couple minutes. A lot of these guys like to call in.
Oh, we got Ken.
Ken would love to say something. Papa Ken. He's an avid fisherman. You letting him in? Unmuting him?
Yeah. Hey, Dieter, thanks for coming representing us West Coast. I've been following Dieter for years and years.
I know Ken. What's up, buddy?
How much? Like I said, I've been following him for a long time. So far back, let's see if he'll tell the story. What's going on with the Santee Cooper sushi? Does he remember?
Oh, are you talking about the Eclipse trip when my daughter was eating the bait?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a, and my God, she's I say almost grown. She's not. She's almost a teenager. But yeah, we were down
years, man.
Yeah, we were down there for the big eclipse because it came straight over Santee Cooper, and we were sitting there. I had the family out on the boat. We were out on the lake, and we were fishing. And I bought some herring, some little, just small. I got blueback herring that were down there, and we was catching a couple fish, and I noticed bait was disappearing. And she was probably 2 at the time. And somehow I turned around and looked, and I said, "Taylor, what are you eating?" And she's like, "Fish." And she was eating the bait. To this day, if I woke up to her and go, "Hey, do you want to go get sushi at lunch?" She'll jump off the couch and take off. She'll eat sushi like a pig. So that video's still out there somewhere. That's the probably 60-pound heavier Dieter too from back in the day. So yeah, that's.
But it's good to see you on the West Coast, Dieter.
Yes, sir. Good to be here, man. This is cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Anybody else have any questions they want to ring up or take another one if we don't know how many people are on there, Eric?
I got to give y'all credit. Y'all are brave taking calls. That would.
I love taking calls.
Yeah, that would. That reminds me of some of the old 90s radio shows, and then people started doing the prank calls. I shouldn't have said that. That could
Don't give me
Well, especially with the old farts at Stoney Stone, we have some pranks, and we've been known for some pretty good pranks over the years.
Yeah.
And I'm sure payback's coming at some point.
Yeah.
But
he tried to prank one of the other teams just this last tournament. There's where he was staying. It's a little canal type situation where there's houses on each side of the canal with docks. But his house, the Airbnb he was staying on was on one side, and another team that was the
Bass Lane
Bangers was staying on the other side of the canal, and they just happened to have dinner together. And what happened after that? I wasn't there.
So we're at this Chinese restaurant, and I had this idea of I wanted to go put some bananas on their boat. And so I go to the lady at the restaurant. I go, "Hey, do you guys have any bananas?" Because it's late, and we're in Clear Lake, and nothing's open, right? So I'm like, I gotta find some bananas. So I tell this lady I said, "I just need a few. Give me 4 or 5 bananas." So she got this big old thing. She's all, "Okay." I'm like, "How much?" She's all, $5. I'm like, "Perfect." Well, I don't have $5. I got a credit card. I'm like, I tried to give her a credit card. She's like, "No, just give me $5. So I go into the bar, and there's the Bass Lang Bangers guy, Steve Havoc, sitting there. Well, does anybody have $5? He gives me $5. I went and bought the bananas for what I was going to go put on his boat. So we go get the bananas. We sneak over there in the middle of the night, and they were still at the bar. So I'm thinking, we got plenty of time. So we go over there, and I'm starting we got busted in the process of putting bananas on their boat. But it made for a great story.
Yep,
and we tried putting bananas on the boat.
You don't know how many times I've posted the pictures where I've had a guide trip and we have smoked the fish. And I had one recently, and end of the trip, you're winding down, guys like, "Hey, I'm going to eat some lunch," and pulls his food down. He's got bananas, some apples, and a sandwich. And I'm like, it's great when it goes bad. You got something to complain about. I think I've had more have turned out great when I've had bananas on the boat. So, but there's some captains out here on the coast, especially saltwater guys, that are adamant. It's like, you're not getting on the boat with it. This is not a joke. Don't try to be cute. They're very, very serious about it.
There's a few of them out here too.
I've been trying to get Darren to get a banana tattoo, but he says no.
Not yet.
We have to bet that on the next tournament. We have to bet a banana tattoo.
If you notice the wall behind us, Dieter, so like we mentioned, we're on separate teams, and we fish these tournaments together. So me and him have a friendly rivalry between teams that if I beat him, he's got to replace one of his pictures with one of our pictures.
Okay.
Well, he's gaining traction. That's not a good thing.
That's cool. What kind of rods are those behind you?
So those are one of my sponsors, Hook 'em Big Rod. Daniel Fountain makes a catfish rod. It's like $95. It's not really expensive rod, but it's most of the guys that are running catfish out here are running the Hook 'em Big Rods. I definitely run them with a few others we try out, but when it comes to tournament catfishing, what I like about his new rod is the tip he made really sensitive. So it's got a huge backbone to power these fish in, but it's got a light enough tip where when you're trolling or even anchored up, you'll see that thing just, and you know he's there, and you can see the bite. And that was one of my complaints with a lot of the other rods is that you couldn't see the bite. We'll use them for sturgeon, sometimes even for striper.
Yeah, they're good. They're good rod.
But
that's what you need, especially with striper. Something that they don't feel that initial pull on the rod. It just kind of rolls over, and that way gives them time to flip those baits into their mouth. Yep.
Yeah. Well, Dieter, I want to be respectful of your time. I know you took time out of your busy day. You are a busy man. You're working on 2 or 3 podcasts, and you took time to be with us. So I appreciate you.
Yes, thank you.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me. We will do this again. We will
circle
back and do this again.
Well, I definitely want to come out and see you and do a podcast with you there. Do some fishing. We're definitely going to make that happen.
Let's stay in touch on that, and I really think you need to go see those family members out here on the East Coast because they miss you dearly, and that family bonding experience is important for everyone.
Yep.
And you can screenshot this and record it with QuickTime if you want to and pass it along to help sell that trip. So,
There you go.
Perfect.
And like I said, if you get it out here, we'll take you get some leopard sharks.
Perfect.
Cool. And American flies direct from San Francisco to Charlotte. So I do know they got those flights. So
we got that. Yeah. Perfect. We'll be seeing you soon. Again, thank you guys for calling in, listening to our podcast with Dieter Melhorn. Great guy. I'm going to call him a friend and hopefully he becomes family. We'll work all that out. Do want to give a shout out to my sponsors, Hook 'em Big Rod, obviously. We got your rods here. Amazing fishing with the XXX blood. You need that scent sometimes to make that bite come on. Snag 'em and bag 'em custom leaders. Everything we get from our cat fishing is through Snag 'em and bag 'em. Some great floats, custom painted leaders if you need them for striper. I know I'm forgetting Kevin Brock rods. We definitely use a lot of his rods as well for a lot of different things. And who else? I know I'm forgetting somebody.
Oh, all the Stonies.
Oh, we can't forget all my Stoney Stone photography and driving with Stoney Stone, cooking with Stoney Stone. I don't know. Stoney Stone everything. So, Dieter, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Dieter.
Awesome.
Definitely.
All right, guys. Thank you. Good night. Perfect.